everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda. This is mostly a vlog about my late autism and ADHD diagnosis, but this video is going to be a little bit different. Today I want to review the book called The Maid by Nita Prose. And I want to insert this clip in because even if you don't plan to read the book, you're like, I don't really care about a book review, this video isn't really about the book. It's about autism, autistic traits, and how people, how I related to an autistic character that I read, and how other people relate to autistic coded characters. At the end of the video, I'm going to read some reviews left by other people talking about this autistic character. And the reason why is because the main character is Molly the Maid, and she is an autistically coded character. What that means is the author does not come out and say that Molly is autistic, but basically she is written in a way that definitely fits autistic stereotypes. And I want to talk about it as my opinion as a late diagnosed autistic woman. So I'm going to try not to give too many spoilers. If I end up saying something that might be too big of a spoiler, I'll try to let you know. But overall, my opinion of the book, and the genre is like, I don't know if it's considered cozy mystery. I mean, it's a mystery. It's not gruesome. Molly, this isn't a spoiler. It's on the back of the book. Molly's a maid at a hotel, and she walks in. One of the high-paying clients that stays at their hotel very frequently is dead, and then this is like the story that unfolds around that. And Molly was raised by her grandmother. So basically, as just a reader, if I was to pick up this book and rate the book without it, talking about autism or anything like that, I would probably give it 3.5 stars. Like, the story was fine. It was slightly predictable, but not too bad. There was a couple little twists in there. The writing was, okay. This definitely wouldn't be a book that I would go out of my way to recommend. But the fact that this is a very autistic character, even if the author doesn't say that, I think is noteworthy because media representation matters. And reading books where you see yourself in the characters, especially the main characters, is just very important. And so as I was going along, there was a lot of things in Molly that I saw in myself. And then there was a lot of things that I didn't. But that's okay because autism is a spectrum, and there's not going to be any two autistic people that are the same. And so if I'm reading about any autistic character, I expect that. The thing about it is it does rely on some autistic stereotypes, and I'm not against stereotypes completely because a lot of times stereotypes exist for a reason. When you come across a stereotype, you need to realize that it is a broad generalization and that it isn't always the case for every single person that you're stereotyping. And some stereotypes are completely harmful and should not continue to exist, but not all of them. There's also where I feel like sometimes the author, Miss Prose, created Molly as almost a caricature of autism, like just bringing out the autistic traits. And I'm also not too upset about that because I think it is a way to highlight the autism and to bring awareness to the character. Because you're also getting inside Molly's head, which, adds to an element of autism, because autism is an internally presenting disorder. It has external behaviors, and that's where a lot of the diagnostic criteria from the DSM was established, was from external behaviors, where scientists were observing an autistic person and making opinions about them. But autism is internally presenting. I did not do any research to find out how much research Ms. Prose did on autism. I was going to, but ultimately I decided it didn't really matter. I feel like she did represent autism fairly well. I did go and read other people's reviews, and I'm going to talk about the extremely ableist comments that I saw that really hurt to read as an autistic person. But before I do that, I wanted to, while I was reading, I was highlighting in the ebook that I was reading some of the passages that really hit home to me as an autistic person. And so I wrote some of them down because I'm filming on my camera. That is my ebook. So I handwrote them down. So one of them said, I decided not to share any of these thoughts. Instead, I agree with Detective Stark in so far as I can without complete deception. So autistic people often don't feel comfortable with lying or untruths. So at this point, Molly, had discovered the body. And so the detective, had obviously brought her in for some questioning. And Mr. Black is the man who died, and his wife was named Giselle. And Giselle was very, very kind to Molly. And so Molly, at this point, wasn't sure. She felt Giselle was innocent of anything, but she didn't want to bring police attention to her. So she didn't want to mention Giselle when she was being interviewed. So she found ways to completely tell the truth, but also not bring up things that she didn't want to bring up. So that's kind of like very, very relatable. I don't like telling lies. I like to be very straightforward and very truthful. But sometimes in life, there are things that, someone's asking you straight point blank, and you don't want to lie, but you're struggling with trying to find the best way to communicate. So I really related, to that. So another quote that I highlighted was, another close friend. Little did she know she was my one and only. So again, this was talking about Molly, talking about Giselle. Molly felt that Giselle was her one and only friend. And the thing that's hit home for me as an autistic person is often we have mismatched representations of friendships. So I had this friend that I felt like I was really extremely close with. Like I felt like they were a bestest best friends. And I would talk to them, and I had this emotion, like I felt like they were really close, but then suddenly they were like not communicating to me the way they used to. And so it was really upsetting. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on? And they finally told me straight up, Amanda, hold on, what did she say? She was like, I don't think of you as that close of a friend. I think of you as just a really close acquaintance. I really enjoy having you in my life, but we're just not that close. And that was devastating to me. I mean, I'm glad ultimately that she was honest with me, but autistic people often have very mismatched representations of friendships in their head. So in the story, Molly thought Giselle was her really close friend, but it's obvious to the reader that Giselle just thinks that Molly is a very sweet maid that cleans her room. And she likes Molly. She does genuinely like Molly, but they're not best friends. Later on in the story, it says both elementary and high school were lonely and trying. I was proud of my good grades, but my peers were never my peers. And that spot on. Like, I never really felt like I belonged with my age group. When I was in Girl Scouts, I liked hanging out with the counselors or the Girl Scout leaders way more than the kids my own age. Oftentimes, I would even hang out with the kids younger than me because then I was like a leadership role. But kids my own age, I always struggled. And I made good grades. A lot of autistic people are in the gifted and talented programs. We can be very highly intelligent, but we struggle socially to fit into typical norms. Um, just when I thought he wasn't interested in me, he revealed he was. So in the story, Molly has like a crush on the bartender who, we can, as the reader, tell that he's kind of a seedy character, but she is looking for signs that he is her friend. And even though it's very obvious that he's not, again, back to that one, like, missed social cues and just not understanding the dynamics going on. This one I wrote down just because I don't know. A tissue for your issue, I say. So Molly really likes to talk in these quotes that her grandma gave her for life. So a lot of autistic people work from scripts to get through life. And interactions, having these scripted things helps us. So Molly's grandma gave Molly all these different little sayings, and some of them rhymed, and some of them were just like mantras to help Molly through any situation that she'd come to. And so she says, "A tissue for your issue." I say, "Oh my God, Molly," Giselle replies. "You've got to stop saying that when people are upset. They're going to take it the wrong way." And I, I'm with Molly on this one. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say a tissue for your issue, but I mean, it's cute, I guess. But I was like, does that mean something else? Are you not supposed to say a tissue for your issue? Does that imply something else? Like, as the reader myself, an autistic reader myself, I didn't know if that phrase does mean something else. Or if Giselle is just like kind of ribbing on Molly for always having these cute little corny sayings, like, "Molly, you're being trite," or something. I, the reader, didn't read the social situation in that interaction, and so I wrote it down because I thought that was pretty funny. And there was more in there that, I mean, I was just highlighting away because there were so many things that the author did get right. And so now I'm going to show you some of the reviews that I read. Okay, so I got brighter because I pulled up my computer screen, which is over here, and then I'm going to put the quote right here that I'm reading from. So this was a quote that somebody else, a neurotypical person, I'm assuming. This was a review left on a website, and it was answering a question about whether or not Molly is actually autistic. And this person said, "I think that's what was intended, but my opinion wasn't accurate. Since I do see a number of people with ASD, autism spectrum disorder, I saw a number of discrepancies. One big one is her genuine enjoyment of other people's company on a deep level. She may not engage well and may not read social cues well, but it doesn't necessarily add up to autism. A closer, more accurate diagnosis for a fictional character is social pragmatic communication disorder." And I'm not a doctor. I've never heard of social pragmatic communication disorder. I have no idea. I know that I related as an autistic person very heavily to Molly, in the stereotypes, in the caricatures, and in the like subtle things. One thing I want to put in here before I even address his comment is that, no, it's for the next comment. I'm going to save it. Okay. One big problem is her genuine enjoyment of other people's company at a deep level. And this person says that they work with people who have autism, and it makes me just so angry. Like, so one thing is, like, autistic people, our faces sometimes don't reflect our inner turmoil or inner emotions. When I read that, I am so angry that I wish I could express how angry I am, because I am a people person. Anybody who's followed my channel for any length of time, I think you would understand that I want genuine time and connection with people on a very deep level. Like, autistic people, that is one of the stereotypes of autism that needs to end. Remember at the beginning of the video, I said there are some good stereotypes and then there's bad stereotypes. This is a harmful one. There are autistic people who don't want to socialize, that are introverted. That may be true. There's a lot of autistic people who really, really want to socialize, but have been hurt so many times by so many people that they've become cynical and they're just like given up on trying. There are people who, like me, who are in burnout right now. So trying to maintain friendships can be difficult because just functioning on a daily basis is very difficult. And there's people like me in different parts of my lifetime who I really deeply want to connect with people, and I struggle to because of my social differences and miscommunications. But autistic people can want deep connections with people. Like, that's a very, very old stereotype, and it's horrid. Okay, now this next review, if that one made me see red, this one's horrid, horrid. There were so many. There were so many. Like, I was just scrolling, and they were so horrible. Not about the book, about Molly and her autism. Anyway, I'm only 3 episodes in of a 10-episode abridged audio version, which I think is kind of weird because this book isn't that long. I can't believe there's an abridged version and what they would cut out. But whatever. I'm no expert, but I agree with the others that her behavior and thought patterns seem inconsistent with anything. Is she mildly R-word? Like, who is saying that? OCD, Asperger's, which is no longer used. We now say low support needs autism, which is the medical definition. Asperger's is no longer a valid diagnosis, but obviously ignorant people aren't going to be caught up on current terminologies. Anyway, is she mildly R, OCD, Asperger's, because it goes way beyond socially awkward, and yet her social skills and perceptions seem to come and go. At times she's so thick she doesn't get a simple joke, and other times she's scheming on how to deceive the detective, which requires complex perceptive and interpretive skills. She stands too close and wants hugs. She's hung up on proper hotel protocol, but has no problem slipping the dishwasher room, the guy who washes the dishes, room keys on the sly. The author didn't seem to know what she was writing about. To make it worse, the reader of this version, so because it's an audiobook, is accentuating Molly's weird speech patterns, which is really annoying. She's speaking very crisply with long pauses between simple phrases. I want to slap her. Just to break it down, social skills. So for one thing, that's a thing. Like, a lot of autistic people just don't like autistic people. They can just sense us. They feel like we're weird and they don't want to be around us. Her social skills and perception seem to come and go. Yeah, we're high masking. We try to fit into neurotypical, but oftentimes we're off the mark and it doesn't land. At times she's so thick she doesn't get a simple joke, and that's true. I miss sarcasm and miss when people are joking. There's so many times when people say something and I'm like, are you joking with me? Are you laughing at me or with me? And Molly says that in the book often. Are you laughing with me or at me? Because a lot of times we can't tell. But, other times she's scheming on complex perceptive interpretive skills. Autistic people often see the big picture of things. We can see huge patterns and social constructs and understand inner workings of things at a level that allistic people don't often get. Our brains just work differently. And also, what this one is talking to is in the book, there's one point where a lawyer and the doorman and the dishwasher gentleman are helping Molly to catch the bad guy. Like they kind of try to set it up so that he can get caught red-handed by the detectives. And they rehearse with Molly over and over and over. Like they tell Molly specifically, do this, this, and this. It's not like Molly's trying to necessarily deceive the. There's a hair on me. Got it. Got it. They are not trying to actively deceive. I mean, they are rehearsing with Molly over and over and over so that she can do this without failure. It really isn't her scheme. She is uncomfortable with it because it feels like to her that she's having to do some falsehoods, but she understands that the ultimate thing, if she does this little scheme, it would catch the bad guy. She does go to great lengths to protect her friend Giselle, but again, she understands that Giselle is not the killer. And so, but it could look like that. And while I don't, it's fiction, right? Like, I'm not saying that she should have impeded the detectives by withholding information. There are times in the book that she did do that. But again, she did see bigger picture in some areas. But when it came to her social relationships, which is, a thing that diagnostically autistic people struggle with, then yeah, big miss.
Cutting in here because somehow I missed a big chunk of this paragraph. She's hung up on proper hotel protocol. A lot of autistic people really love rules and following routines. So Molly excels at her job because there's a lot of very specific routines that she needs to follow. And then this reviewer is like, but she doesn't have any problem slipping the dishwasher room keys on the sly. But see, that's a huge trait of autism. The dishwasher was a guy who had lost his visa in an unfair way. And a lot of times autistic people have a strong, super strong code of justice, moral justice that will get activated. And so Molly was playing to this mode of justice to make sure that her friend, the dishwasher Juan, was able to not get kicked out and be homeless.
And then when she's talking about now obviously I read the book, I did not listen to the audio book, but many of y'all have seen my video on speech where I have long pauses between my words because I'm trying to think sometimes. And to have someone say they would want to slap somebody like me for the way that I talk is like just pure hate speech. And I don't know this person on the internet, but this was just one of I was scrolling through comments where people weren't reviewing the book, they were reviewing Molly's autistic traits and how they didn't like her autistic traits. The things that they were complaining about were her autism. So, anyway, I hope you found this video informative. Again, it wasn't really specifically about the book itself. The book was fine. It was, it was worth a read if you want a fun little murder mystery. There was kind of a big plot twist that I didn't want to spoil, so I'm not going to spoil it, other than I didn't really like the plot twist, but I'm not going to really go into that. But yeah, I'm going to look forward to more. I want to read a lot more autistic coded characters, and specifically if I can find authors who have written books where they actually say, my character's autistic, enjoy. And anyway, I will see you on the next video. Bye.